My perfect wife tricked me into raising her ex's baby for years. I only found out the truth at our family barbecue. Then what happened next left everyone in shock. I never thought I'd be writing this story, but here I am. The truth has a way of coming out, no matter how deeply it's buried. I'm James, 35, and until last weekend, I thought I had the perfect life, a beautiful wife Sarah, our amazing 5-year-old daughter Emma, and a successful career. Sarah and I had been married for almost 6 years, having rushed to the altar when she discovered she was pregnant. It's funny how your whole world can shatter in an instant, all because of a simple DNA test kit that arrived in the mail. It started innocently enough. My sister had gotten really into genealogy and bought DNA kits for the whole family as Christmas presents in December. The barbecue where everything came to light happened on the first weekend of January, during an unseasonably warm winter day. We host it every year, the whole extended family comes over, kids playing in the heated pool, burgers on the grill, the perfect suburban dream. The kits sat unopened on our dresser for weeks. Every time I mentioned doing them, Sarah would find some reason to put it off. Let's wait until after Emma's dance recital, or we should do it when we have more time to really look at the results. Looking back, I should have seen the red flags, but love has a way of blinding you to the obvious. Everything came crashing down at our annual family barbecue last weekend. We host it every year, the whole extended family comes over, kids playing in the pool, burgers on the grill, the perfect suburban dream. My sister Lucy was there, of course, and she brought up the DNA kits again during lunch. Come on, James. Let's do them now. I've got everyone else's results already, she said, pulling the unopened kits from her bag. Sarah suddenly went pale, making some excuse about feeling sick and rushing inside. I followed her, concerned, but she locked herself in our bathroom. Lucy, ever the enthusiastic scientist, had already opened the kits and was helping Emma with her swab. Like this, sweetheart. Just rub it inside your cheek. I couldn't help but smile at my daughter's giggles as she mimicked her aunt's instructions. That's when Sarah came bursting out of the house, tears streaming down her face. Stop. You can't do that. She screamed, causing everyone to freeze. The look of pure panic in her eyes made my stomach drop. I'd never seen her like this. Sarah, what's wrong? I asked, moving towards her. But she backed away from me, shaking her head. I'm sorry, James. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. Emma. She's not yours. The words hit me like a physical blow. The background chatter of the party died away, replaced by a rushing sound in my ears. I could see my sister's mouth moving, could see other family members reacting, but all I could focus on was Sarah's face, the guilt, the fear, the secrets finally spilling out. What do you mean, she's not mine? My voice sounded strange, distant. Emma was looking between us, confusion written all over her little face, a face I'd always thought looked just like mine. Sarah's next words shattered my world completely. Remember when we broke up briefly, 6 years ago? Before we got married? I slept with my ex, Michael. When I found out I was pregnant, I convinced myself it had to be yours. I wanted it to be yours so badly. The room spun. Memories flooded back. That break had happened right after I'd caught Sarah texting someone late at night. She'd sworn it was just work, that she needed space to think about our future. I'd given her that space, spent 2 months drowning myself in work and missing her desperately. When she came back, I was so relieved I didn't ask questions. I'd been a fool. How could you? My mother's voice cut through the chaos. She had always treated Sarah like a daughter, had helped plan our wedding, had been there for every milestone of Emma's life. We welcomed you into our family. Sarah tried to respond, but my sister interrupted. Wait, Lucy said, her face pale. At our parents' 35th anniversary party last month, when you gave that speech about how James was the only man you'd ever truly loved. Was Michael there? Sarah's silence was answer enough. Michael had been at that party, he was a friend of her cousin's, had even congratulated me on being such a great dad. The memory made me physically ill. The timeline clicked into place with sickening clarity. That break had lasted 2 months, right before our wedding. Sarah had come back saying she'd made a mistake, that she knew I was the one. I'd been so happy to have her back, so ready to start our life together, that I never questioned when she announced her pregnancy just weeks later. My sister stepped forward, Emma's DNA kit in her hand. James, we don't have to. No, I cut her off. Do it. I need to know. The next few hours were a blur. The party dissolved into chaos, with family members either leaving quickly or staying to try to help manage the situation. Emma, confused and scared by all the shouting, was taken to my parents' house. I couldn't even look at her without feeling my heart shatter. Sarah tried to explain, tears flowing freely. How she'd always loved me, how she convinced herself it was better this way, how Michael had wanted nothing to do with the baby. Each word was like a knife twisting deeper. I did it for us, she pleaded. For our family. Our family? I laughed, a hollow sound. You've been lying to me every day for 6 years. Every time I held her, every first step, every birthday, it was all built on a lie. That night, after everyone had gone and Emma was safely at my parents' house, I discovered something else. In my state of shock, I'd started going through old photos on my laptop, torturing myself with memories. That's when I found a folder I'd never noticed before, synced from Sarah's phone to our shared cloud storage. Inside were hundreds of photos of her with Michael at various places, cafes, parks, even a beach I recognized from our family vacation 3 months ago. She'd told me she wasn't feeling well that day, that I should take Emma to the beach alone while she rested in the hotel. Instead, she'd met him. There they were, smiling at the same beach where I'd been building sandcastles with Emma just hours earlier. The timestamp showed years of secret meetings, carefully hidden behind excuses about work events, girls' nights out, and fake migraines. Each photo was like a knife to my heart. But what broke me completely was finding ultrasound pictures from her pregnancy, sent to both me and Michael, with different messages attached. To me, can't wait to start our family. To him, I wish things were different. I gathered every scrap of evidence, every photo, every message I could find. My hands shook as I forwarded everything to my email, knowing I'd need it for what was coming. Then I sat in our darkened living room, surrounded by the life we'd built on lies, and finally let myself break down. After the barbecue revelation, I stayed in a hotel for the first week while Emma remained with my parents. It wasn't ideal, but we needed that time to establish temporary arrangements through our lawyers. By the second week, I had rented a small 2-bedroom apartment near Emma's school, ensuring her education wouldn't be disrupted during the transition. Sarah stayed in our house, technically mine since I'd bought it before our marriage, but I couldn't bring myself to force her out while custody was still unsettled. Emma started kindergarten in September, 4 months before the barbecue revelation. Mrs. Rodriguez had already noticed some concerning behaviors, Emma drawing pictures of 2 dads, asking questions about why she didn't look like me. The teacher had planned to bring these up at the February parent-teacher conference, but the barbecue incident brought everything to light first. Looking back, there were so many signs we all missed. We arranged it so Sarah and I wouldn't have to interact directly at the school. She did Monday and Wednesday pickups, while I handled Tuesday and Thursday, with Fridays alternating based on our temporary custody schedule. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, counseling sessions, and sleepless nights. I learned that Michael, Sarah's ex, had known all along that Emma might be his. He'd chosen to stay away, happy to let another man raise his child. The betrayal ran deeper than I'd imagined. Sarah begged for forgiveness, swearing she'd spend the rest of her life making it up to me. But how do you forgive someone for stealing 6 years of truth from you? How do you look at the woman you loved and see anything but lies? The hardest part was Emma. She didn't understand why Daddy wasn't coming home, why Mommy was crying all the time. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that her whole world is built on a lie? That the man she calls Daddy isn't really her father? Part 2. My perfect wife tricked me into raising her ex's baby for years. I only found out the truth at our family barbecue, then what happened next left everyone in shock. I hired a lawyer, one who specialized in cases like mine. He explained my rights, laid out my options. In most states, I would still be considered Emma's legal father since I was married to Sarah when she was born and had acted as her father all these years. I could fight for custody if I wanted to. But did I want to? That question kept me up at night. Emma was innocent in all this. She didn't ask for any of it. The love I felt for her hadn't changed. If anything, it had grown stronger, more protective. But every time I looked at her, I saw Sarah's betrayal. A month after the barbecue, I made my decision. I filed for divorce but also for joint custody of Emma. Sarah was shocked. She'd expected me to walk away completely. But I couldn't do that to Emma. She was my daughter in every way that mattered, biology be damned. The custody battle took 3 intense months. During this time, Emma stayed primarily with me while Sarah had supervised weekend visits. My lawyer argued that Sarah's pattern of deception and her ongoing relationship with Michael showed questionable judgment that could affect Emma's well-being. As we hung fairy lights and arranged her stuffed animals, she asked me the question I'd been dreading. Daddy, are you not my real daddy anymore? I pulled her into my lap, fighting back tears. Emma, listen to me. Love makes a family, not blood. I've loved you since the day you were born, and I'll love you until the day I die. Nothing will ever change that. As I held her, I remembered the day she was born, how I'd waited anxiously in the hospital, pacing the halls until the nurse called me in. How I'd held her tiny body against my chest, counting her perfect fingers and toes, marveling at how someone so small could make my heart feel so full. That moment was real, even if the story behind it wasn't. She hugged me tight, and in that moment, I knew I'd made the right choice. Sarah had betrayed me in the worst possible way, but I wouldn't let that poison my relationship with Emma. The legal proceedings followed a clear timeline. Initial divorce papers were filed in July, 1 month after the barbecue. The temporary custody arrangement was established by mid-August. September through November involved intense negotiations and court appearances, complicated by Sarah and Michael's attempt to secure relocation rights. The final custody ruling came down in early December, just before the holidays. Throughout this time, Emma attended weekly sessions with Dr. Marshall, a child psychologist specializing in family transitions. These sessions helped her process the changes and gave the court valuable insights into her emotional well-being. When Sarah and Michael announced their moving plans in January, Dr. Marshall's testimony about the potential impact on Emma proved crucial in blocking their attempted relocation. During one particularly heated court session, Sarah's lawyer brought up Michael, arguing that he should have rights as Emma's biological father. That's when I learned something that changed everything. Michael had known about Emma all along, had even been sending Sarah money occasionally. They'd been in contact behind my back for years. The revelation broke something in me. It wasn't just one moment of weakness 6 years ago, it was years of active deception, of conscious choices to lie to me every single day. Sarah had robbed me of the chance to make an informed choice about my life, about being a father. The judge was equally unimpressed. In her ruling, She stated that Sarah's pattern of deception worked against her, while my commitment to Emma despite learning the truth worked in my favor. We were granted joint custody, with the condition that we both attend family counseling. As for Michael, he wanted nothing to do with Emma, signed away any potential rights. Part of me was relieved, but another part was angry. How could anyone not want to be part of Emma's life? Life settled into a new normal. Emma splits her time between my apartment and the house, where Sarah still lives. We're civil with each other for Emma's sake, but the trust is gone. How could it ever come back? The DNA kits that started all this? They're still sitting in a drawer in my apartment, unopened. Sometimes late at night, I take them out and just stare at them, these innocuous little boxes that shattered my world. Lucy found some research suggesting that Sarah might have tried to tamper with them before her confession. Apparently, you can find tutorials online about how to contaminate DNA samples. The thought that she might have been planning to deceive me yet again makes me sick. Lucy apologized repeatedly for bringing them to the barbecue, but I told her not to. The truth would have come out eventually, it always does. Sarah started dating again recently. I heard through mutual friends that she's seeing someone new. Good for her, I suppose. Me? I'm focusing on healing, on being the best father I can be to Emma. Biology doesn't make a family, love, trust, and truth do. I lost one of those things with Sarah, but I'll never lose my love for Emma. Yesterday, Emma and I were making breakfast together, something we do every weekend she stays with me. As she carefully flipped pancakes, only dropping one on the floor, she looked up at me with those big brown eyes that I now know came from Michael. "Daddy," she said, "I'm glad you're still my daddy." "Me too, Princess," I replied, helping her rescue a slightly burnt pancake. "Me too." The truth cost me my marriage, my trust, and the life I thought I had. But it also showed me what really matters. Sarah may have tricked me into becoming a father, but choosing to stay one? That's the most honest thing I've ever done. But before I get to the updates, there's something I need to share about the day of the barbecue that I haven't told anyone until now. After everyone left and I was alone in the house, I found Sarah's phone. She had forgotten it in her rush to leave. I know I shouldn't have, but I looked through it. What I found made the betrayal even worse. There were hundreds of messages between her and Michael going back years. Not just about Emma, they had been meeting up regularly, having lunch dates while I was at work. Nothing physical, according to the messages, but the emotional intimacy was clear. They joked about how I had no idea, how I was such a great dad to his kid. They even had a code word for when they were talking about Emma. They called her their little secret. I took screenshots of everything before leaving the phone for Sarah to find. My lawyer says this evidence of their ongoing deception helped us tremendously in court. But honestly, reading those messages broke something in me that I'm not sure will ever fully heal. Update 1. It's been 6 months since my world imploded at that barbecue, and I need to share what's happened since then. Things have taken turns I never expected, some good, some devastating. First, the hardest part. 2 months ago, Sarah announced she was moving across the country for a fresh start, with Michael. Yes, that Michael. Apparently, they'd been talking more and more since the truth came out, and he suddenly decided he wanted to be part of Emma's life after all. The timing seems suspiciously convenient. When Sarah told me their plans, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut all over again. Not because I wanted her back, that ship had sailed the moment I learned about her deception, but because of what this meant for Emma. My lawyer immediately filed for an emergency hearing to prevent them from taking Emma out of state. The court battle was brutal. Sarah argued that since Michael was Emma's biological father, they should have the right to move with her. My lawyer countered with evidence of my consistent presence in Emma's life, her established routine here, and the potential emotional damage of uprooting her. The judge, thankfully, saw through Sarah's attempts to use biology as a weapon. In a surprising twist, Emma's therapist testified about how damaging it would be to separate her from me, especially after everything that had happened. She shared how Emma had been processing the revelation about her paternity, and how crucial my consistent presence had been to her sense of security. The judge's ruling was clear. Sarah could move if she wanted to, but Emma would stay with me as the primary custodial parent. Sarah was shocked. She'd been so confident that biology would trump everything else. She decided to stay, at least for now, but her relationship with Michael continues long distance. Emma has started asking questions about Michael, which is natural but heartbreaking. How do you explain to a child that her biological father chose not to be in her life for 6 years, only to show interest when it was convenient? The therapist is helping us navigate these conversations, but it's not easy. Through all this chaos, I've found unexpected support. My coworkers have been amazing, especially my boss who gave me flexible hours to attend all the court hearings and therapy sessions. Part 3. My perfect wife tricked me into raising her ex's baby for years. I only found out the truth at our family barbecue, then what happened next left everyone in shock. My neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Chen, often invites Emma and me over for dinner on the weekends I have her, saying every father and daughter needs a home-cooked meal. These small kindnesses help balance out the bitterness. On a brighter note, Emma is thriving in school. Her teacher told me she recently did a family tree project where she drew 2 dads, one she called my dad, me, and one she called my other dad, Michael. When the teacher asked her about it, Emma said, "My dad is the one who loves me all the time, and my other dad is the one who made me but doesn't know me yet." Kids have a way of cutting through the complexity to what really matters. Sarah's family, who initially sided with her, have started reaching out to me. Her sister confessed that she'd had suspicions about Michael years ago but hadn't wanted to cause problems. It's frustrating to learn how many people had pieces of the puzzle but chose to stay silent. The DNA kits that started all this? I finally opened mine last week. Turns out I'm part Scottish, which explains my unreasonable love of bagpipes. Emma thought this was hilarious and now insists on having Scottish nights where we eat haggis. Well, she attempts to, and watch Brave. Sometimes the best parts of life come from the worst situations. I've started dating again, cautiously. It's strange navigating the dating world as a single dad, especially given my situation. I'm upfront about it. Emma is my daughter, biology be damned, and anyone who can't accept that isn't right for us. Sarah and Michael's plan to move across the country fell apart by February. Their relationship, built on lies and deception, couldn't withstand the scrutiny and consequences. Michael moved without her, claiming she complicated things too much. Sarah now lives in a small apartment across town, working at her parents' business, the only place that would hire her after the scandal became public knowledge. She sees Emma on alternate weekends, supervised by her parents who finally recognize the depth of their daughter's deception. He doesn't know what kind of cereal I like, she told me recently. Or how to do my hair right. Or anything about me. The hardest moments are still the quiet ones, when Emma asks questions I don't know how to answer. Why did mommy lie? Does Michael love me? Are you sad? I try to be honest while protecting her from the full weight of adult complexities. Last week, during one of these conversations, Emma said something that broke my heart and healed it at the same time. I'm glad the DNA test showed you're not my real dad, because it means you choose to be my dad anyway. Out of the mouths of babes, right? Life isn't perfect. Sarah and I still struggle to co-parent effectively. Michael's presence complicates things. There are days when the anger and betrayal feel fresh all over again. But then Emma will grab my hand, or tell me about her day, or fall asleep on my shoulder while we watch movies, and I remember what really matters. The truth may have destroyed the family I thought I had, but it helped me build something stronger, a relationship with my daughter based on choice, love, and honesty. And really, isn't that what family should be about? Sometimes the biggest lies lead us to the most important truths. I may not be Emma's biological father, but I'm her dad. And that's a truth worth fighting for. Final update. Michael's drunken confession happened exactly 5 months after the barbecue, 2 weeks after Sarah announced their plans to move. His timing made sense. They had just lost their court battle to relocate with Emma, and he'd been drinking heavily. His revelation about their pre-wedding plans explained so much about those 2 months when Sarah and I were on a break. It wasn't just a period of uncertainty for her, it was a calculated attempt to force a different outcome. I tried to handle it calmly, told him to come back when he was sober, during appropriate hours. He got aggressive, tried to push his way inside. I blocked him, reminded him that the custody agreement had strict rules about visitation. That's when he said something that chilled me to my core. She was supposed to be mine, you know. Sarah and I had it all planned out. She was going to leave you before the wedding, but then her parents threatened to cut her off if she didn't go through with it. The pregnancy wasn't an accident, we thought it would force her to choose me. I recorded the whole conversation on my phone. The next day, I took it to my lawyer. Sarah and Michael's story about a one-time mistake during our brief breakup was exposed as a complete lie. They had actively tried to conceive, hoping to break up my marriage before it even began. When that failed, Sarah chose financial security over Michael, but kept him in her life secretly all these years. The court has revised our custody agreement in light of this new evidence. Sarah's visitation rights are now supervised, and Michael is barred from any contact with Emma until she's old enough to decide for herself if she wants a relationship with him. Sarah's parents' involvement evolved over time. Initially, they sided with her, suggesting I was overreacting to an old mistake, but their perspective shifted dramatically 3 months after the barbecue when they learned about the long-term deception from Amanda's revelations. Their retirement fund had paid for most of our wedding, and they'd contributed significantly to Emma's early childcare costs. Learning that their daughter had manipulated not just me but them as well changed everything. Mr. and Mrs. Collins came to see me at my apartment one evening in October, 4 months after the barbecue. They brought a stack of legal documents, bank statements showing regular payments Sarah had requested for Emma's activities that actually aligned with dates she'd met Michael, emails she'd sent them lying about our relationship to keep the financial support flowing, even a letter she'd written but never sent to Michael during our engagement, detailing their original plan. We enabled her, Mrs. Collins said, her voice shaking. We thought we were helping her build a family, but we were just funding her deception. That's when they offered to set up the trust fund for Emma, not out of guilt, they insisted, but because they wanted at least one part of this mess to be honest. Emma and I are moving next month to a new house, away from the neighborhood where everyone knew our story, away from the whispers and pitying looks. She's excited about decorating her new room. We're doing a space theme, with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling and planet mobiles she made herself. Yesterday, she asked me if she could stop using Sarah's last name and take mine instead. You're my real parent, she said. The one who chose me. We're looking into the legal process for that now. The DNA kits that started everything had arrived in November, about 6 weeks before the barbecue. Lucy had bought them during a Black Friday sale, excited about the family genealogy project she'd been planning. Sarah's nervousness about them had grown increasingly obvious as Christmas approached. She'd accidentally spilled coffee on the first kit, then claimed she'd misplaced the replacement Lucy sent. By the time of the barbecue in early January, Lucy had brought the third set, determined to complete her family tree project. Looking back, I can track Sarah's increasing anxiety through December, the sudden migraines when Lucy brought up the project, her insistence that we wait until after the holidays, her careful attempts to ensure she was always too busy when Lucy visited. The DNA kits now sit in my desk drawer, a reminder of how truth finds its way out. Emma's kit remains unopened, a choice she can make when she's older. Mine finally got processed last month, revealing not just Scottish ancestry but connections to distant relatives who've reached out with warmth and support. Sometimes I look at old photos from before the barbecue, see how happy we all looked, and feel a pang of loss for that innocent time. But then I remember, it was never real. What Emma and I have now, though? This is real. This is true. This is family. The betrayal nearly broke me, but it also showed me what I'm made of. I'm not just Emma's father because I choose to be, I'm her father because I fought to be, because I stayed when it would have been easier to walk away, because I put her needs above my pain. Sarah's lies took away the family I thought I had, but they gave me something stronger, the knowledge that love isn't about blood or biology or legal documents. It's about choices, about showing up, about being there through the hard times and the good ones. And you know what? That's worth more than any DNA test could ever tell me. P.S. Emma just walked in as I was finishing this update. She asked what I was writing about. Our story, I told her. She thought for a moment, then said, make sure you tell them that happy endings don't always look like what you expect. Sometimes they're better. Smart kid, my daughter.